Hey guys, we're here with Selling North Dallas today, and we have some great big market update news. We're going to talk about that housing bubble. Is it about to burst? Do we have increasing or decreasing mortgage rates? And if you're renting, you're probably getting screwed. Hey guys, Holly Haven and John Garms here with Selling North Dallas Real Estate Team. We are your North Dallas Realtors. We are super excited today to bring you some really great information to make sure that you are in the know. We talk about every week, Jono, we do micro data because this real estate market is shifting almost minute by minute, definitely day by day and week by week. So we're super excited to bring this update today. Before we get too far, we want you to hit the subscribe button. We're going to put it right there. Is that good?
Right there.
Right there? Okay, cool. Let's do it right there.
While you're at it, go ahead and hit the like button so that we know you like the dadgum video. Dadgum it.
We know they do. They're here watching. We know they like it. So median rent week over week has been going up.
So we're at 27. What were we? 26.95 last week?
Yep. Okay, so here's a good case study that literally happened right before we jumped on this call. We won't use the names. They asked us to look into a lease for them, $23.50 a month. In order to get into that lease, he has to bring first month and security deposit to the table, right? That's nearly $5,000. The odds of that rent going up year over year are significantly high because we're watching the rental market go up week over week. We know that it has really the potential to continue. When we ran the numbers against a purchase at $300,000, first time home buyer, the lender can get him a grant to help with closing costs, down payment. And if we can work in the seller to pay closing costs, because we are in a little bit of this, right? We're looking at a declining price market right here. So we still have appraisal values, even though property values are continuing to decline. Those appraisal values are giving us the room to make a full price offer and ask for $10,000 back. So now we have him walking into a $300,000 property, which gives him approximately a $2,400 a month all-in mortgage payment that will not go up year over year. It stays the same every month as long as you live in the house, and you can get into that property for $0 down. No money out of pocket. It's being paid on your behalf. You're paying technically the same month over month mortgage payment because you're paying somebody's mortgage payment when you rent, right? We say that every week. So using that case study of I can purchase a $300,000 house with the potential of no money down and have the same monthly payment as renting a home at $2,350, $2,400 a month, and I have to bring a minimum of $5,000 to the table, and I have to have likely a 3 times my rental income.
Mm-hmm.
Mortgage lenders look at it differently because they look at debt to income. If I make 2 times the rent, but I have 0 debt, I should easily qualify for that rent. But that's not how landlords look at it. They want to see the 3 times the income of that rental rate, which means you technically, in many cases, have to actually make more money to get into a rental than to get into an actual home purchase that you will own.
So let me ask you this. On the case study that you mentioned, what would their payment be, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance in that scenario for a $300,000 purchase?
It was right at $2,400. It was $50 more a month in our comparison to the property they wanted to view as a lease versus a $300,000 purchase. We had $50 more a month on the purchase with potentially $0 out of pocket at the closing table. And that monthly price will never go up. In fact, once you hit an 80% valuation, the payment will actually go down because mortgage insurance premium will come off, which is approximately $150 to $200 a month. People freak out about that mortgage insurance, but really it's irrelevant. We're talking apples to apples, and we're not bringing money to the table, and we're gaining equity. And at the end, we own the house and we can sell it and put money back in our pocket. It's a no question. Like, it's such an easy comparison.
So quick math. If I had to come up with $5,000 down and I could magically spread that across 5 years or 60 months, that's $83.33 a month. So when you factor in what you'd have to come up with from a down payment perspective, it's actually cheaper to buy than it is to rent it.
Not only is it cheaper, it's not only cheaper on day one, you're making money every single month because you're paying towards the equity of a financial asset that you get to turn around and sell and cash out. And I believe last week we said 10-year average in Collin County is a 7.6% increase in values. That has been year over year 10-year average in Collin County.
I think we just ran through the show.
Seriously, let's be done. Because here's the thing, this is a conversation we can have today that we could not have in May, right? We're talking 3 months, May to August. In that 3-month window, let me show you what happened here on this the fancy little gauge that we like to look at, right? We show every week on Collin County. We're still in a strong seller's market. If we're in a seller's market, how can I get that seller to pay $10,000 towards closing costs, right? That's the question we get. Buyers are like, that's never going to happen. How can we get them to do that? Here's what's happened. Because what we did over the last 2 years, right? We had all of these price increases. Now we're going back a little bit, right? We're saying, okay, now we're seeing the prices start to decrease a little bit. But over the past 2 years, we had such a bump in property values in North Texas that it increased our appraisal values. Now we're on the flip side of what we were doing for 2 years. For 2 years, our buyers had to come to the table with cash in hand, lots of cash in hand, because our property appraisal values had not reached the same as our property demand by buyers because we had an inventory shift. So for 2 years, we've been incrementally increasing our property values, even with, or especially with lenders and appraisers. It takes time for that to catch up. Now we've hit the top of the market on our appraisal values, but look what's happened since May. Let's look at this little market action, right? This is what's telling us right here, if we're in a strong seller's market, we are still considered a strong seller's market. But let's go back to April 29th, right? This goes back to April 29th. We were 100 in seller's market, which means we were way over here. We had a full tank. Right? Sellers were running on a full tank. It was like a wild, wild west in North Texas real estate, which has been across the country for a lot of markets. So what we were seeing was, right, if we're at a seller's market of 100, the seller can ask any dollar amount they want. And the buyer, basically, if they want the house, they had to come in and give whatever the seller was asking for. We saw buyers making offers of things like, we'll pay for date night childcare once a week for the next 6 months. Like, I'm not kidding. We saw the funniest offers in the last couple of years because buyers were like, what else can I give you? Like, you can have the firstborn, right? This one's kind of a pain anyway. Take that one. But what we've seen since April is this downshift, right? So we see it, we go all the way down to May 27th, and then we start to decline. Well, here's what's happening. It took us time for the appraisal values to catch up with the buyer motivation. Now we're working in reverse. It takes time for those appraisal values to come back down. So now, even though we're in a seller's market, the buyer actually has some power. And the buyer has power because median list prices are dropping. Number of listings or median price of new listings, price per square foot, all these things, average days on market is going up. That's why we're seeing the shift from 100 to a 57. The good news is for buyers, this is the perfect time if you need that cash to close. You need a little help because I can still get an appraisal value. We're using the $300,000 mark for this renter. At $300,000, I'm very likely to get this home appraised at 300 or even 310. So let's say we get a loan at 310. The house was only listed at 300. Why wouldn't the seller take an offer of 310 and give 10,000 back? It's exactly what they wanted. They're on the market, they're getting full price effectively, and we're able to flip those funds. Basically, we're rolling the down payment into the full loan value. So at 300, we drop at 10,000, we get 290. It gives us a $300,000 loan value, but that 10,000 is coming off the top, going straight to closing costs. It's not coming out of your pocket. You're paying it out over the life of the loan. And then with some of these other government grant programs for first-time home buyers and things like that, we can very easily get so many renters into their first home and they're paying the same or less. They're building equity. They're getting 7.6% on average year over year price increase on that financial asset. This is a no-brainer.
If somebody's thinking, all right, if it's a no-brainer now, the market is clearly moving in a direction that would indicate we're shifting. Buyers are getting more and more power to their side of the gauge. Surely it'll be even better in a month or 2 months. I should just wait to buy because it's only going to get better. How do you refute that?
So honestly, we only know what's happening today and what happened in the past. We do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what economic instability is going to create interest rates to go back up. And I think you just told me interest rates are actually down a little bit right now. We know exactly what's happening today. We know we can get buyers locked in on rates. We know that they can have a very clear understanding of, if you do this today, we're going to have the same answer in potentially 30, 60, 90 days, depending on your rate lock and your approval status. So we can actually forecast you today for the next 90 days of almost exactly what this would look like.
Wow.
Now, 6 months from now, it's going to be tougher for me to tell you because we can't necessarily lock our interest rates that long with lenders, but it gives us a really good window of saying, hey, we have 3 months to make this happen. And we know exactly what our payment's going to look like. And we have a really good idea of what that process is.
If only I would have bought that Yahoo stock in 1998.
Right. Wait till it goes lower. Well, I don't know it went lower until it went lower, right? So when's a good time to buy? In the real estate market, it's almost always a good time to buy. Is there a better time to buy? Yep. Is it better today than it was on May 27th? Absolutely. We are less competitive. Buyers have more power, yet we are still in the strong sellers market, which is actually giving the buyers the power to roll their closing cost into the loan. It is such a perfect sweet spot in this market that every first-time home buyer should 100% be taking advantage of this.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
If you're waiting, I would love to know why. Based
Yeah.
on everything you just heard, throw down in the comments if you're waiting, tell us why. Because
Yeah.
I'm so interested to figure out what's keeping people on the fence. And some people are just fence sitters, and that's okay. We're not here to beat people up. But based on everything I'm hearing, if you're still convinced you need to wait another month or 6 months or sometime next year, please drop a comment. While you're at it, go down in the description. If you want to get your hot little hands on the Selling North Dallas Real Estate Market Update tool, fill out the form. You can manipulate it any way that we want. Holly, once again, you're a champion.
Let's get these people into houses, man. We want to build wealth. Quit paying somebody else's mortgage. That's all the landlord wants you to do, right? I'm a landlord. Are you a landlord, Dono?
I am.
Man, I love nothing more than somebody paying my monthly mortgage and me gaining the equity. So in fact, if these guys don't want to buy a house, they should call us and become our tenants.
In fact, I'm going to drop a link to a video right here. I'm talking about this exact same thing. We're not here to beat you up. If you don't want to buy a house and you prefer to rent, just call us. We will happily rent one of our properties to you. We'll see you
Heck
next
yeah.
time.